Welcome back to my face. My name is Brianna and I am the head honcho here at Bamby Media. Today we're going to run through my two favorite podcast hosts so that you can make a decision as to which podcast host makes sense for you. We're going to be looking at Captivate and Buzzsprout. Now there are a bazillion podcast hosts at this point. We've got Omnystudio, Simplecast, Podbean, Libsyn, Blubrry, Acast, co-hosts. Like there's so many of them. And as we've been working here at Bamby Media in this space for just about a decade, I've pretty much worked with all of them. Yeah. So I think that I have enough information to make you make a good decision on this. So we're going to run through the back end of Captivate and Buzzsprout so that you can take a look under the hood as to how these platforms operate. They're very similar in price point, but they do have definitely quite a few differences in what they actually provide at that price point. I like both of them, but for different reasons. So I'm going to go through what those reasons are, as it may make a difference to you and help you make the decision that makes the most sense for the kind of podcast that you actually have. Disclaimer, these are both affiliates of Bamby Media, so any link that you click on there, as far as if you go with Captivate or Buzzsprout, we will get a teeny tiny little kickback from them for doing that, and I would just be grateful for that. That would just be a very nice thing for you to do. After you watch this video, then you'd be like, hey, she knows what she's talking about, therefore, click on that link and do the thing. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to jump into the back end, and you're going to have a look, and I'm going to give you a little bit of a walkthrough and a little voiceover to help you make some decisions for yourself. First thing we're going to look at is the pricing options for both of these. So Captivate has a monthly and yearly option. You can see here it starts at $19 a month. That's up to 30,000 downloads per month, unlimited podcasts. So you can have as many different shows as you want on that, as long as you don't go over that download number. Unlimited uploads and storage, and an extensive distribution list. So as you get more fancy with your podcast and you get more and more downloads, then you start to have to pay the price for that. And whereas over here on Buzzsprout, you can see that they have like their base plan. I don't even worry about the free plan. The free plan makes no sense to me. It's only hosted for 90 days and you can only do very limited things on there. So I just go straight for this one at least. So it's a $12 a month plan on this one. You get up to 3 hours a month for that. You get episodes hosting indefinitely. Obviously that seems like a no-brainer. Advanced statistics, you can't have different shows on this one host, so every new show you have would mean that you would need to have a different subscription for it. It can accept subscriptions from subscribers, and it does have like monetization, and it does have these other things that you could add on like magic mastering and co-host, which we will go into. The main differences between Captivate and Buzzsprout at this price point is just this really, the 3 hours each month versus the this is unlimited, the amount of hours, but it caps you at your download numbers. To me, Captivate makes a little bit more sense, just because if sometimes I want to drop more episodes in a month, then I don't want to be penalized for that. I don't want it to be that I only get 3 hours a month, and if I'm doing one episode a week and they happen to be long episodes, then I'm not going to be able to fit into that feature. I'm going to have to jump up to this 6 hours each month thing as well, and you don't really get anything else other than that for that price jump. But in saying that, if your show is going very well and you start to be really getting some amazing download numbers, this might start to be really quite prohibitive over on Captivate, because you're getting pretty expensive here at $50 US a month, versus this doesn't cap you how many downloads you're getting. So you could be paying only $18 a month and have a lot of downloads, and that's a lot better than what Captivate's offering here. Price isn't the only thing that you want to think about when you are looking for a podcast host. So let's go and log into the back end of both of these platforms, and I'm going to show you around. Okay, the back end of Captivate looks pretty fancy because there are a lot of things that you can see here over on the left of the screen, like the episodes, the content library, your playlists. You're shown like just a bunch of stuff. Whereas if you look at the Buzzsprout one, it doesn't have as many things. They're up the top here. There are certainly some aspects that you can look at, but it is a much simpler platform straight up to navigate and use. So if you don't want any fancy things, then Buzzsprout is a much easier one to kind of get going with straight away. If we go into Captivate, how to add a new episode is very simple. Create new episode over here, and then you can start to drag your MP3 files in here. You can put your title, your description, your number, your season. This is where you can put dynamic ad information in, your pre-roll, mid-roll, and post-roll information. It has a dedicated area where you can upload and attach media to add to chapters, because some of the podcast hosts allow for chapters with different things that show up in the chapters. So let's say you're doing a science podcast and then you want a different image to come up when you're talking about some particular data that you found, and you want that data to show on screen in podcast players. Some podcast players allow for that to actually appear, and so Captivate has that be an option there so that you can actually add that information in. It allows you to exclude things from the feed. You can set an expiration date if you wanted to. It gives you all of that sort of standard information that absolutely every host does, like is it a trailer or a normal episode. You can upload a transcription that's in SRT format. Upload the file there, or you can just write it in there if you wanted to. Discard, please. This is quite a new feature of Captivate, where you can now have SEO titles and an SEO description. If you're wanting it to be found in search engines and on social shares a lot easier, then you can put different information in there as well. This is the episode slug for your actual Captivate website, which we will go into in a minute. You can upload your episode artwork here. You can actually now embed a YouTube video as well so that it shows up on your Captivate site, which again, we will go into in a bit. And if you have playlists set up, then you can add this podcast to a particular playlist to make it easy. So for us here at Bamby Media, we do a lot of microphone battles. And so we created a playlist so that every time we do another microphone battle, it goes into that playlist as well, which I'll explain in a little bit further detail just a little bit later on. Again, you can add in research links and things that I'll show you in a little bit more depth later. You can include guest bookings, your member access, if you're wanting this to be something that's only available to members, paying members, which is a feature that is very cool. And then you can generate the release time and date and save from there. So you can see there's quite a lot of things that you can fill out here on the description, the actual new episode bit of Captivate. If we move over to Buzzsprout so you can have a look at what's involved there, we upload a new episode. The audio would come up here. You can give a title, a description, again, season number, episode number. You can choose artwork, or you can design it with Canva, though I've never used that feature. We always design all our own in-house for ourselves and the clients on those bigger packages where we do that. You can put artists and guest information. You can have an episode website link, same as Captivate. So if you have a website page on your website and you want to link that here, then you can do so. And you can also add tags. See what I mean though? For simplicity's sake, there's not a lot there. This is much easier as far as you just upload the file, you put some show notes in, and you're kind of done. You can publish immediately, or you can schedule for future, and this is where you set that information in there. So it doesn't allow for the chapter markers. It doesn't allow for a YouTube video to be embedded into the actual Buzzsprout version of your website. All that. It's just very simple to upload, schedule, and you're done. So from a new episode perspective, that is the two ways to actually get that done. The similarities that also have the same here for both. If we go into the players next, so podcast player over here in design on Captivate, this is where you can set what you want your player to actually look like. When I say player, I mean, if we go to the bambymedia.com/podcast website, and you can see that all our episodes have individual web blog posts. Okay, so here's one here. Then we've got this little embed here, which we've made look seamless and just kind of fits there like it was always there, because it's exactly the same color as our website backend is. It's the same branding. It's not the same font. You can't really change the font, but it looks good, right? It looks like it's supposed to be there. And so you can make those adjustments within the back end here of the podcast player, and you can set all these things. You can also decide how much stuff you want to display here. So if we go through all this, then you can see that, okay, the show notes will be displayed, but we wouldn't want that because that's going to be on our website. You don't want the file download. You could display the transcript. You could display all sorts of things, and they would come up in the actual embed. The only thing we're really interested in is if someone wants to share that with someone else, then they can do that easily from there. And then there's a few other kind of branding things that you can do, like you can turn the Captivate logo off if you want as well, which I personally like because, again, I just want it to look seamless. I don't want to look like it's anyone else's thing. Buzzsprout, on the other hand, this is where you can change the players here, so you can customize the way your player looks by pressing on that button. And again, it's similar as far as you can select a bunch of things, you can take stuff off that you don't want to display, you can change the colors, you can, have a look at the artwork. Do they want to display it? Do we not want to display it? How are you going to share it? All that sort of stuff can be done like this on this. Now, I don't think the player looks as good. Any changes that you make, you can just hit save and then they will be saved, and you will get an embed code that you can use for that as well. So again, it's similar. You've got embed codes either way, and you can customize them to make them look the way you want to look, and they don't have to have the branding of either Captivate or Buzzsprout on them. So it is very similar in that regard from this aspect. Next thing I want to look at is the actual website. So Captivate has, and so does Buzzsprout, has a way for you to be able to have a website that you can show to people really simply, very easily, without doing anything fancy, by having it switched on here on the back end of Captivate. So you can enable that. This is your custom domain, and then if you paste that, then all your episodes show up on a page that you can just share. So if you don't have a website, see how if you click on this, it goes through to like a blog post that we've created, and there's a transcript. So it makes it very easy for you, if you don't have a website, for you to direct people somewhere, and then they can engage with all your stuff there. It's not as good as the actual, like being on your actual website, because you don't get all them wanting to click through and then find out how they're going to buy from you and find out how they can learn from you more and all the things, the ways that they could potentially work with you. If it's just this static page, there's not as much, interactive possibilities here. So I don't love it, but I do love it for new podcasters that just want to get started and want to be able to direct people somewhere. Then that is just a really good first step. You can make it look however you want it to look too. Well, not however you want it to look, but there's different things that you can do here as far as layouts. You can change the basic colors. You can display in different orders. You can change what the header looks like. To me, is like, this is really well done. This is a really nice way to have things set up where you can just go and share a link and people can see all your episodes at a glance. It has other things here like monetization, which we will go into, and then even just setting up an email opt-in so people can subscribe to your email from within there, your SEO and sharing, which will appear, and advanced options as well. So it's like they've built in this way for you to have a website page for your podcast. If you have nothing else, just why wouldn't you really? It's not costing you anything extra, and you can amend it to make it look pretty damn good. The Buzzsprout version has some things that you can change as well. So you can upload a different image to have a background image. You can change the colors. You can use your own hex codes, and you can see how it's going to display. But yeah, like that. So it just goes through and all of your episodes are there. I don't think this looks as good. This is the share page that you get access to, which if you just share that link, then everyone can decide which podcast player they like and then just click through and add to their own thing from there. So you can do that, but there's not a lot that you can do to make this look really good. And the difference there that I like with the Pump Up Your Pod on Captivate is that because, they can listen, but it's not getting overwhelmed with all the text straight away. You have to actually click in to get to that, which I find a much nicer experience, and it feels more like an actual website, whereas this just feels a bit clunky. It feels a bit cheap, and I don't like this. So from that perspective, from the website perspective, Captivate for me definitely wins. Directories is just showcasing where your podcast will be displayed, and that is exactly the same on both of these platforms. Directories or distribution is the same thing. You show up on all of them. The thing that I like about Captivate is that you can one click submit to all, and then it will submit you to all the podcast platforms, except for Apple, which you have to do externally. So you have to go to Apple Podcasts and connect and set up your show that way through them. Specifically, you need an Apple ID. It's a little bit annoying, but it is the way it has to be. Buzzsprout, you don't have that option to just have it be individual one click, but most of these things are pretty quick to actually get listed on. iHeart is a little bit more convoluted, so is TuneIn, because you have to have like a different login for those things. You have to sign up for those things, and you have to submit a form, and etc., etc. So there's more steps here with those. I don't think that there's much of a difference really though with the distribution. So I would say that they're both pretty much the same thing there. Monetization is a different one. Both Captivate and Buzzsprout have monetization options. Both Buzzsprout and Captivate allow you to have people be subscribers to your show, to support your show with a monthly amount. Buzzsprout will take a 15% flat fee on all your transactions that you have set up through subscriptions. Let's say you want to allow people to support you with $3, $5, $8, $10 a month, and maybe they get exclusive content, etc. They take 15% of that, whereas Captivate has a way that you can set up my memberships as well. You can see here in the memberships area, so when you first do it, it shows you how to set it all up with Stripe. There's just a series of clicks and a few little extra bits and pieces of information that you need to give Stripe, and then it will start to feed through from this, and you can accept payments from here. But Captivate doesn't charge you anything for having memberships or for receiving tips. So that to me makes it go, well, flippin' Captivate wins there, because they're not taking a cut of the payments that I'm getting from my monetization efforts. So that's a big draw card for a lot of people that are looking to do even just like that kind of buy me a coffee type situation. They just want to have a little bit of money coming in from their show. Then Captivate wins in that regard for me as well. Buzzsprout, though, has a few other added extras like your Buzzsprout ads, so you can now start to get programmatic ads put into your show. That can be fun if that's something you're interested in doing. It gives you the option to add any sponsors or affiliates into your show notes as well. If you've got regular sponsorships, campaigns that you run, you can put that information in there. And then there's also a support show link that you can get from within Buzzsprout as well. In saying that, I just think for me personally, the way this is set up, the fact that Captivate's not taking a cut of my winnings, of my earnings, then Captivate has to win from a memberships and tips standpoint. If we look at the analytics now for both of these platforms and how they display, we've got very similar analytics that are provided, though Captivate gives you just that little bit extra as far as the actual unique listeners that you're receiving, whereas Buzzsprout doesn't give you that kind of information. Buzzsprout gives you the top apps that are being used, the top episodes with all time. You can look at the last 7 days, last 30 days, last 90 days, and all time. And you can also now do custom date ranges as well, which is really good. It doesn't go down to the hour, which I like, but only Omnystudio so far have I seen where the statistics can give you an hour by hour play. And I find that useful if I'm trying to decide what time of day I should be releasing my episodes. Sometimes that information is extremely valuable, but neither of them do that, so I can't put them head to head there. Episode downloads, it gives you what your most popular episodes are for your last 4. And I actually find that Captivate is a little bit more confusing in the way the actual statistics are shown. It does give me the listener behavior, so how they're listening, again, the same as Buzzsprout does. I just find it a little bit harder to navigate what I actually want. This performance comparison I never really use. It's like, how did this one go versus another episode? I don't really care about that information. I don't use that ever. Episodes overview gives you a broad range overview of how your episodes are tracking over time. You can set that to be just custom or all time, last 90 days. It gives you all the data for all the episodes. And this is really good if you're trying to track how something is performing over time. So the podcast that we have on Captivate, we really go into the data on the actual downloads that are tracking over a period of time. And I find that this is really the only place I'm interested in, is the episodes overview and a general summary to give me an idea of how many people, how many new people, how many unique people are actually listening to the show, because that gives us a better indication as to how the show is going overall. Buzzsprout. So episode downloads, it provides you first 7 days, first 30 days, first 90 days, and then all time. But it only gives you the last 20 episodes, and I want more than that. Just from a graph perspective, I'd like to be able to see more. You can see them all down here and see how they're all tracking over time. And then you can sort by most popular so that you can see what the really heavy hitters are as well. I find the statistics pretty simple to use and understand on Buzzsprout. They're displayed a little bit easier, and just going through this, it's just a little bit nicer, more colorful, easier to kind of look at and understand there. It gives you your locations. It gives you these fun little badges too on Buzzsprout, just to go, hey, cool, you've done X, wow, well done. But yeah, as to how much of that stuff you really care about, that's up to you. Captivate gives you the same thing as far as where people are listening from and the location data and stuff as well. So there's not a lot of differences between the two here in the actual analytics. As I said, I really do think that Buzzsprout looks a bit nicer the way it's displayed, but I do like that extra unique listener kind of information that Buzzsprout doesn't provide in its platform as well. Buzzsprout has a few other things like fan mail, which is quite new, which allows people to be able to interact with you, so they can send you what is essentially like an SMS that gives you a comment and then you can reply to it, which I really like. But it's not something that we potentially would use right now, and especially because Spotify has now launched comments, and that is coming soon to Australia. At time of recording, it might even be there. The need for fan mail, I think, won't be as necessary as potentially it was, and I think that other platforms are going to follow suit, like podcast platforms, to have comments be available. Now, the big thing I want to talk about now is the actual dynamic content section of both of these platforms. So if we go to the bulk ad editor, here we go. This is where in both of these formats you can put your dynamic content in. So if you want to sell something, if you want to tell people about some coaching thing that you're doing or any sort of thing there, then this is where you actually set it up and do it. The pre-roll is just at the very beginning of your episode. Your mid-roll is, somewhere in the middle of your episode, and the post-roll is after your final music has played. The same situation goes for here. We've got pre-roll, post-roll, and you can add mid-rolls in too via this bulk slot manager. Now, Buzzsprout makes it very simple. It's super easy to just upload some dynamic content and then select where you want it to play. Captivate makes it a little bit more, like a bit harder to do, because you need to sort of select it per episode. You need to decide where you're going to put it on each episode. You need to upload the content to your content library, select it as a ad, and then put it in, which I can do a separate video on how to actually do that. But in saying that, I like that Captivate gives me more availability to decide where I want to actually put my mid-roll ad in. And when we're editing, at the time of editing, we decide, okay, cool, this is a really good break. We're going to put this client's ad in at this point. Buzzsprout doesn't let you do that. Buzzsprout just decides where it's going to put it. See, plays at auto-generated placements, and it just makes the decision. based on what it's seeing. The AI, I guess it just analyzes the waveform. I'm not exactly sure how it does it. So to me, that's a little bit of a deal breaker because I don't want it to just show up wherever Buzzsprout thinks it should show up. Maybe it doesn't matter as much as I think it does, but I feel like that's kind of annoying from that perspective. It doesn't mean we don't use it. In fact, a lot of clients that we have are on Buzzsprout, and it's good to at least have the option to have a mid-roll that you can put in. But yeah, not being able to decide where it goes is a little bit confusing. If you're doing this all by yourself though, this is like such a simple way to get going. Dynamic content, putting it in like this is very simple. As I said, with Captivate, there's a few more steps and you have to select where you want it to go, and then you have to add the actual ad to it. That's a little bit more time consuming, but I personally like the customization options that Captivate provides me with that information. Buzzsprout has other things like magic mastering and co-host. Magic mastering meaning if you don't have, when you're editing your show, some sort of dynamic range set, which is normally set to -16 LUFS, LUFS, then when you upload the episode here, Buzzsprout does this kind of compression where it makes the loud not as loud and the soft, it makes it louder so that everything is sitting at the same kind of level. You can see here, this is a little bit low, this is really low, and this is super high. And then after magic mastering, it just makes everything sound kind of at the same level. There are issues with this. This is not like a fix-all. There are definitely problems with doing something like this, and I've seen it happen, I've heard it happen, where the magic mastering isn't that magic. It makes things just sound not quite right. It's better to get it right on the post-production phase when you're doing your editing, but if you can't do that, then this is the next best thing to do. It does cost you more to do it. I think it's $6 or something extra a month to do it, but it is something that you can do. Captivate does not have that option. It just assumes that you've already set that up beforehand. Buzzsprout also has a co-host AI, which will help you write your titles, your show notes, put in some chapter markers and transcripts, all that sort of stuff. We don't love this feature yet. We found it to be quite clunky. It doesn't do very good writing. It's very AI bot. It's just, I don't find it useful. We've had clients actually try it as well and then go, oh God, that's actually pretty rubbish. So they've switched it back off, and then they've either asked us to then take that on as a part of their package to write their proper show notes, which we turn into proper articles and all sorts of things as well, or they write them in-house themselves depending on their budget. The co-host AI, I like the idea of this, but as far as the implementation so far, I've not seen it do a great job at this point. Captivate does not have that type of feature. It doesn't have the AI integrations that Buzzsprout has at this point. So if you're looking for something really simple to use and just you're like, look, I don't care. I don't have time to write my titles. I don't have time to do show notes. I don't really care what it does. I just want it to do it for me. Then that would be an option for you. But again, it does cost you to enable those things, which then all adds up. That's about it as far as features go for Buzzsprout, what you're getting. Captivate has a lot more aspects to it. You've got attribution links, which I absolutely love. It means that you can set up like small links if you're trying to sell a program or you're trying to let them know about a masterclass or whatever, then you can set an attribution link, you can create one, and then you can actually track how that link is performing over here in the link analysis section as well, which just is really good. You can set up calls to action, you can have integrations happening if you wanted to set things up to go through to other places, though again, this is not an area we really use at all. You can set up a sponsor kit, which is cool if you want to show something to sponsors and you want to be able to, at a glance, for them to be able to see how your download numbers are going, what your audience avatar is, how the last 3 episodes have tracked, without you having to create that yourself. Then you can do that in this sponsor kit section, which is cool. You can also organize your guests and actually invite them to episodes. You can create bookings from within Captivate too. So if you've got an episode that you are recording with someone, then you can put that into the booking. You can set it up to add to a calendar. You can create the Riverside link. Let's say you were recording it with Riverside. Like if we go to manage booking, I'll show you. So we've got a booking here. We've got an interview link that gets sent to the host as well. If there's no episode it's assigned to, then it just goes there. Any notes that you want to make sure that the person that's going to be booking in will get as well. And then it comes into your calendar as well. They get notified of it. And then you can track all your guests. You can set your availability. You can look at your booking settings. You can change those things up. So it means that you don't have to have it set up to like Calendly or Acuity scheduling. You could do it all within Captivate if you wanted to, which I think is a pretty cool feature. So when you look at all that, when you look at how rich all the features are, which I haven't even gone into all of them here on Captivate, this is already a very long and in-depth walkthrough for you guys here today. Captivate has a lot more features. Buzzsprout has a much simpler UI. It's easier to see what you're doing. If you're a novice, you can see just, okay, I'm just going to upload an episode. Maybe I'm going to do magic mastering and co-host. I don't do anything. You could do that. It does have fan mail, dynamic content. It does have subscriptions. The stats are easy to see, all that sort of stuff. And it doesn't limit you based on the amount of downloads you have. So there are elements of Buzzsprout that work really well. And there are elements of Captivate that also work really well. That is the walkthrough of both of those platforms. And now for my final wrap up. Welcome back. So glad that you came back to my face after having a look at that. What do you think? Which one are you going to go with? Put it in the comments. Captivate, Buzzsprout, or is there a different one that I haven't even had a look at, that I don't even know about, that I haven't even mentioned, or the one that you have that is your favorite? There are a few things for both of these platforms that I really enjoy, but the one thing that I will say is that the thing that's kind of annoying with both of them is that your dynamic ad insertion, at time of recording, you can't set a campaign to turn on and turn off at a certain date or time. That's the only thing that's frustrating, because let's say you're working with a sponsor and they want their sponsorship campaign to run from 1st of July to the 31st of July. You can't set a time and a date within either of those platforms in the back end. You have to set a reminder for yourself, like on your calendar or something, to turn it on and off, like go in and switch it over and do the things on the dates for the campaign. You don't get as much data as would be nice on both of those platforms for dynamic ad insertion. If you need that kind of stuff, if you need to be able to set up campaigns and track the impressions and just have a little bit more information, then Omnystudio is the best one that we use for that purpose. In saying that though, setting up campaigns is a little bit of a learning curve, and you need to have a separate integration through Omnystudio. It's not cheap, but it is a way to get around that and actually have your dates set up properly within the campaign. We haven't had that be a huge issue for most of our clients, and as I said, the clients that do require those more stringent launch dates and times and things, we set them up. They use Omnystudio for that. We do their ad integrations through that platform. The other ones we set up through Captivate and Buzzsprout, and we set reminders to turn the campaign off or switch the ad over when the date is up. Only thing there where I'm a bit like, come on guys, I feel like this should be something that everyone should be doing by now, and I don't love that they're not doing it. Okay, that's my wrap up of these two platforms. Let me know what you think. Have you made a decision? Did this help? Or you're like,
Brianna, you've just confused me more.
Let me know in the comments. I love hearing from you guys. Bye.